we go through the Halloween series here at Hawkeye's House of Horrors. And I'm going to do a review tonight for part 6 in the series. That's Halloween, the Curse of Michael Myers. Now, it's been quite a while since I've seen this film. This might be my third time seeing it, and kind of just like the last one, I enjoyed it more this time. Um, but I still had problems with the story, some of the characters. But I'm going to dive into it here and get into review for this film here. Now, it was directed by Joe Chappelle. This is early in his career. He would go on to direct a lot of stuff on TV, more so like TV episodes. As I say, he did some for the Twilight Zone in early 2000s. Um, and he actually did 26 episodes of CSI Miami as well. So that's quite a few. And it was written by Daniel Ferranz. This is early in his career as well. Would go on to work on a number of Friday the 13th documentaries, which is pretty cool. I like Friday the 13th. Well, not all of them, but let's just say maybe half of them. But yeah, I do like my Friday the 13th, so that's pretty cool. Now, this film, before it was released, they sat down with a test audience to see what their reactions would be to this film. And it did not sit well with that group. Um, Now, as I've read, one of the actors said it was like a bunch of 14-year-old boys, whatever, but it didn't sit well with the audience. You might ask why. To me, maybe because it's not a great film. It's not that good. Now, the version I'm giving to you today, I should have said this off the top. It's not the producer's cut. I'm watching the actual theatrical release. I think it ran around 88 minutes. The producer's cut is much longer. Um, so it's not that one in particular I'm doing. Some people think it's a much better film. I even hear some people think it actually isn't. It isn't quite as tightly run um, as the theatrical release, but that's the one I'm doing today. Um, now, um, Now because of this test run with an audience to see what the reaction would be, it led to a troubled post production for this film, and a number of cuts were made and a number of reshoots were done um, to try and improve the overall picture. Now, this movie had a budget of 5 million bucks back in 1995, um, or in today's dollars, that's 2026. It would have been a budget of $10.7 million. It did good at the box office. It made 15.1 million in the US, or just over $32.3 million today. So it made 3 times its money back. Now it was distributed by, I always have a tough time saying that word, Dimension Films as well, and it was released on September 29th, 1995. Once again, to be ready for Halloween, or a full month to get this film out in the theaters. So we're going to jump into the story now, and it deals with Jamie Lloyd. She's back again. She was from Part 5. Jamie Lloyd's back, but now the character is played by J.C. Brandy. Now, Jamie gives birth to a son, and this cult um, that is now very apparent um, in this particular film, they get a hold of the child right after the birth. Now, this cult, it was hinted at in the previous film. Now we're going to get a much better look at it. Although in the theatrical cut, it's still not quite as far as I think they needed to go if they were really going for this cult. Perhaps in the producer's cut they do, but we do get a better look at it. But this cult is in Haddonfield. It's known as like the Thorn Cult, I think, because there's a tattoo on Michael Myers' wrist, I think, um, as well as another character, the Man in Black. He returns as well. But this cult has got a control of Michael Myers. And it's an explanation as to why he kills or why he's so evil. Um, Personally, because I enjoyed the first one so much, and as I said in that review, I get Michael when listening to Dr. Loomis and seeing Donald Pleasance. Wonderful acting there, talking about Michael and how evil he is. I actually don't need any more than that. You've explained it. Terrific. Onward I go. I don't need to spend much time on that due to, you know, wonderful dialogue by John Carpenter and a terrific actor like Donald Pleasance able to bring that out. I didn't need more. So, um, is this like a useless sequel? I certainly wouldn't go that far, but uh, where I love my Halloween, it's kind of a unneeded sequel, or I'll get further into it, but it, yeah, I didn't need it once again. Um, so, anyways, after Jamie gives birth, this nurse gets the boy, gives it to Jamie, and then Jamie can run away from this cult. And of course, the nurse becomes the first victim of Michael Myers in this film, just about 1 or 2 minutes after the credits roll. While on the run, Jamie hides the baby in a restroom in a bus station, almost like she knows a good person is going to find this baby. Right, okay. Michael tracks her down and kills her. Pretty horrible death. I give you that. Which I'm going to have to say at this point in this series, this film has got the best deaths, the best kills in the series when I'm looking at all six of the films. Maybe take out Halloween 3. There's no Michael Myers in that. But this one has got the best kills, I think, of the entire series up until this point. They're good, they're horrific, they're graphic, they're bloody. It works. So the brother of Morgan Strode, now that was Laurie Strode's adoptive father. Um, so his brother Morgan Strode and his family, get this, they're living in the old Myers home. You heard it right. The Strode family is living in the old Myers home. No fucking way. I don't believe it. I know that it's not Morgan Strode, it's his brother John, I think, but that would be his niece. That was this who lived in this house before she was adopted by your brother. And her brother is an absolute serial killer in the town. Why are you living in the house? Um, I don't believe it. And then that guy went and hunted down your great niece, not once but twice, along with your niece. Um, Clearly, you may not give a shit about any of these people, um, as you're not in Jamie's life, but you're living in the childhood home of the psychopath that is related to these people so that you could probably save a couple bucks. Um, ah, I don't, sorry, it's not working for me. Um, how this should have happened by this point in the series is this house would be demolished. There's no way this house would still be standing at this point. Michael Myers has come back and wreaked havoc in the town 3 times. actually four times if you go back to 19, what was it, 62? Four times. Yeah, this house is totally demolished by now, no doubt. Um, yeah. So, anyways, in steps, he lives across the street from the Myers home, is Tommy Doyle. Yes, the Tommy Doyle from the original Halloween. I'm loving that. I'm loving the bringing this character back. I liked little Tommy Doyle in the original. I liked him. He was the kid Laurie Strode was babysitting in the first one. Problem is, and it's interesting because it's Paul Rudd who's playing the role, and this was his very first performance. But his performance, um, and I'm certainly don't know how much of this is coming from the director, but um, how Tommy Doyle is coming across, he's very weird, very odd, not really connected to much around him. Um, and Rudd, at times, um, when it should be like um, a moment of perhaps strength or something for you to see from this character, he gives these awkward, nervous laughs that just make his character even weirder. And I'm not saying I have anything wrong with weird characters, but and Tommy Doyle definitely had gone through a horrific thing as a child, but he was also in part four, and he doesn't seem to be that same character. In my mind, he was in just the one scene, but he doesn't seem to be the same guy. Anyways, he does some investigating and finds the baby boy of Jamie Lloyd. He calls him Steven. I've missed something totally. I don't know why, but he's named this boy Steven. And by this point, the baby has been in the restroom for, I'm guessing here, 6 to 8 hours. It never cried, or no one found it by that point. I'm sure there would have been a lot of people in and out of this bathroom. Anyways, so Michael is off to Haddonfield in search of this child. The cult wants to get a hold of this child as well, um, and get a further stranglehold on this town. Um, do, do, do. Now, the Strode family in the Myers home, I'm going to talk about this family, get into the actors and the characters a little bit more here, too. First, we have the father, John Strode, played actually very, very well, I think, by Bradford English. Um, he's very good at playing a complete asshole, and that's what this character is. There's no real redeeming qualities about this character at all. Pretty bad guy. Um, So maybe they had to create him for you to maybe believe that the family would move into the home. I just, I still can't believe it. I'm sorry. But maybe that's why they went this way with this character. Um, he's very selfish, extremely selfish. Does not really show any love to anyone in this film. Um, but you're going to get your just desserts in the end. Yes, he dies, and he probably has the worst death in the film. Um, he gets electrocuted, and then his body explodes. And you might get a little smile on your face after seeing that because he's not a good person, this guy, John Strode. We also have the mother, Deborah, played by Kim Darby, who I will always remember her from True Grit with the Duke, John Wayne. Yes, True Grit. If you've never seen that one, great film. You can watch the remake. It is great as well. The Strode parents actually were named after John Carpenter and Deborah Hill. Interesting. I like that. Then there is a son, Tim, played by Keith Bogart. You can tell he's going to die. And unfortunately, to me, he's a bit of a throwaway character. I don't know, there's not as much to him as there are to in the other members of the family. Um, but anyways, and then finally we have the daughter Kara. She's a main character, played by Marianne Hagen, and her son Danny, played by Devin Gardner. And supposedly he's named Danny because there was some inspiration from Danny from The Shining, a film I love. That's interesting. Um, but these two get connected to Tommy Doyle, um, who lives, as I said, across the street and likes to look at her, Kara, undressing and gives an absolute creepy look on his face when she notices he's over there doing that. Yeah, okay. Um, for me as well, I needed a better connection between these characters before I believe a mother would bring her son into this weirdo's home. In the end, yes, it's the right choice. That is what she needed to do. But I think I needed something there. Um, a nice connection between Tommy and Danny would have been good for the mother to see, to put some trust in her for this character. Something like that, I think it would have worked a little bit better for me. And Danny as well. He's a very impressionable boy as well. He's not very old. And of course, we have Dr. Loomis. Donald Pleasance returns, unfortunately, for the last time in this role as Dr. Loomis. He would actually go on and pass away 7 months before the film was actually released. So when they came back to do reshoots, Pleasance had passed away, or was, he passed away before they were able to get to that. So that's really unfortunate, um, because for me, this is the film I think where Dr. Loomis has kind of um, the least to do with what happens in the film. Um, as I said, Pleasance had passed away before the reshoots happened, so when they do it, Dr. Loomis can't be in um, the final fight, right? Um, as well, his character definitely disappears. Certainly in the third act, for um, it's always amazing to see Pleasance in a Halloween film. It's great, but um, it's sad though as well, just because this was his last film as well. But unfortunate how that worked with the Donald or Dr. Loomis character. As well, Loomis and Michael, this is a big strikeout here. They're in exactly zero scenes together. Not one. That's a big whoops there. Um, Now, with the character of Jamie Lloyd, I wondered why Danielle Harris was not in this film. I think at the time she was 17, she went through the legalities, or um, was able to separate herself from her parents so she could, um, I think, so she could come and do this film. Um, but, and I gotta say, the perfect age for this film, she could be 17. There's been a lot of girl 17 pregnant, no problem there. Um, but when I read into it, they offered her $1,000 for the role. Um, but the head of casting did not wish to negotiate with her at all. It was just, that's what we're going to pay you. And supposedly it cost her more money to go through the legal side of things to have this happen. So she wouldn't even have made her money back. So it's a bit of a dirty curveball there. If that is exactly how that went down. So then JC Brandy was cast in her spot. Too bad. It would have been cool to see Danielle Harris return one more time to play Jamie Lloyd. That would have been cool. They also wanted Brian Andrews, who was in the original Halloween, to reprise the role of Tommy Doyle. Um, Andrews did not have an agent though, so they could not connect with him. So that role went to Paul Rudd. George P. Wilbur returns as Michael Myers for the second time. He was also Myers in part four. So that's good. Um, yeah, other characters. We have a complete douchebag of a radio DJ, Barry Sims. Played well for sure because he's really doing the douchebag thing well. Leo Getter. Um, but this guy cannot stay alive long enough. Um, he literally on, I believe, on live radio and in front of all the townsfolk downtown. He tries to pick up Tim's woman, Beth, played by Maria O'Brien. Sims is like literally sitting in between the two of them when he does so. And he says, "Oh, you probably wear crotchless panties and something else." And it was like, what? Did you really just say that? Okay. Anyways, it didn't work for him. That's good. And then finally, we have Dr. Wynn, played by Hollywood veteran Mitchell Ryan. I remember him in a number of Clint Eastwood movies like High Plains Drifter, to me, one of Eastwood's best westerns from the 70s, 73, I think. Um, but supposedly they chose Mitchell Ryan. I forgot about this. I was like, oh, because there's a lot of big names in that film was Lethal Weapon, the first Lethal Weapon. They chose him for this role because of that role there. Um, but this character does add something different to the story. And definitely, um, he's definitely maybe one of the better characters in the film, perhaps. He's the leader of the Cult of Thorn as well. And as I said, you got a Hollywood veteran there. He's been in a ton of films. Um, he knows what he's doing, so he does it well, playing the and he plays the villain, for sure. Um, Now I said for part four, the doctor, I forget his name now, but it was played by Michael Hadeke. He was, I said that character was in the original one. No, he wasn't. It was this character, Dr. Wynn, was in the original Halloween, and it's the same character. Sorry, it was Dr. Hoffman for part four. I was incorrect. He wasn't in the first one. But Dr. Wynn is also the character in part five that was the man in black. Um, I guess I'm fine with that. I'm fine with that. Ryan is very good at playing the bad guy. So it works for me. Now, the mask was created by John Carl Beethler. I think I'm pronouncing that right. Um, he was an effects guy. He worked on Ghoulies, for example. He would direct Friday the 13th, Part 7. I think Ghoulies 3. There were a movie Troll. And so there were things he had done. And he was an effects guy before directing. Um, but I gotta say, The Mask, I really like it. I think it is much better than the one we had in Part 5. And it definitely would be one of the better looking masks. So far, maybe it just comes second, maybe to the original one. It's tough though. Maybe the one part four is better. Maybe this was better than that one. I don't know, but I'm liking it. It didn't pull me away out of the Myers character and say, "What am I looking at here?" So it was good. And lighting to the film was really good. It's you're watching a slasher. It's very effective in doing that. It looks the part, so that's definitely a plus for me as well. And there's even a scene in there where this always happens to me in the Halloween films where you ask, "Oh, is got some supernatural going on?" As Jamie sees him and then he disappears right in her sight, like it happened in part one, like it happened in part four. Um, Part one was with Lori, part four was with Dr. Loomis. Same thing going on. So yeah. And then Alan Howarth did the music. It's good. You got that John Carpenter Halloween theme. It's being played. It's always effective. It works. So once again, you got some good music going on in the a Halloween film. Now, one thing I noticed, um, I don't know why they did this, but it looks like the kids in Haddonfield now trick or treat before they go to school. I think they had outlawed Halloween in Haddonfield. Now it's coming back, so they do it in the morning because they trick or treat like after the credits roll, and then you have the rest of the movie. But they have to go to school and do all these other things. So maybe they started it at a different time in Haddonfield because they've had such a horrible history. Okay, that's interesting. And it appears if you talk about Michael killing his sister in the old Myers home, it looks like all that's going to do is get you horny. Okay, because Tim and what was her name again? Beth, they talk about it, and then it's time for some sex. Okay, all right, moving on. And then, which actually leads to a very rear window like scene where Kara can see Michael coming behind Beth as she's looking through Tommy Doyle's binoculars. Um, um, and also a film, I feel bad. Was it Body Double by Brian De Palma? Same thing, but it all comes from Hitchcock's Rear Window. Maybe if you've never seen that film, hey, maybe that's a cool, creepy scene. It's okay, but it's just like, uh, I don't know. Rear Window was such a awesome flick. It was what from the 50s, right? But I mean, yeah, okay, it's very old, but yeah, I love Rear Window. Awesome movie. But and then in the end, we're back at Haddonfield Hospital, and boy, oh boy, does it ever look completely different than it did in part two. And maybe it's a different hospital because boy, it doesn't look anything the same. And then in the end, there's a big fight between Tommy Doyle and Kara and Danny, and they shoot a bunch of, I don't even know what it was, something that drops Michael, and ooh, is he dead? Oh, gee, I wonder. But you find that Michael is alive. Of course he is. And you hear then Dr. Loomis screaming, which I think was pulled from part four at the end of part four or something. Because there's no way, like, all of a sudden now Michael went and killed Dr. Loomis and that's it. Like, come on, that's no way. That's not how it ends. But anyways, both Hagen and Rudd actually signed a contract on their contract that they would do any sequel that may come up after this. So they were planning on doing a part seven from Curse of Michael Myers. Thing is, Jamie Lee Curtis wanted to come back and play Laurie Strode again. So any sequel from Curse of Michael Myers or what's known as the Jamie Lloyd timeline is done with. We're going back to Laurie Strode. Um, so it never happened. Peter Jackson was actually asked to direct this. I must say I'm glad he didn't. I don't know what it would have been like if he did direct it, or would he have given his 2 cents or more than that in the script as well. It has a high body count as well. Now we are up to 20 here in this film. And it was shot in and around Salt Lake City, just like the last two Halloween. So, yeah, unfortunately, I didn't like this one. There were elements I did like, though, but um, that's it for the original timeline, I guess. Uh, so, or what's known as the Jamie Lloyd timeline, or the, Dr. Loomis timeline as well. So the next one is Halloween H2O. I think that came out in 1998, and it's been a very long time since I've seen this one too. I think I've seen it 3 times now, but this one I really enjoyed. So it was back on the right track again. But we'll see. I'm going to give it a watch, give it a review, come back, let you know about it. H2O. I know Michelle Williams is in it too. LL Cool J. Janet Lee. That's Jamie Lee Curtis's mother. So yeah, that'll be fun to come back and get to part 7 for you. So that's it. I hope you have an excellent night. And until next time, stay scared out there, everybody.